Listen, what I'm about to reveal to you today is going to shake you to your core. If you've ever felt like something was off, like there was a coordinated effort against you that you couldn't quite put your finger on, you were right. The cat is finally out of the bag. And chosen ones, what I'm about to expose will make everything you've experienced suddenly make sense. The manipulation, the sabotage, the inexplicable hostility from people who were supposed to love you. It all connects. Before we dive deep into this revelation, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because this information needs to reach every chosen one who's been questioning their sanity. Drop a comment right now if you've ever felt targeted by your own family or circle. Let's build this community of awakened souls. Now, let's get into the dark truth that's been hidden for far too long. You know what's fascinating about being a chosen one? The universe doesn't just randomly select people. You were chosen because you carry a light, a frequency, an energy that threatens the status quo of darkness. And guess what? The people closest to you sensed this long before you even recognized it yourself. That's right. Your own family members, the people who shared your childhood dinner table, who claimed to love you unconditionally, they knew you were different. They felt your energy. And instead of celebrating it, instead of nurturing it, they made a conscious decision to dim your light. Let me be crystal clear about something. This isn't about holding grudges or playing the victim. This is about understanding the warfare that's been waged against your destiny. Because once you understand the game, you can stop being a pawn and become the master of your own board. Here's what they did. They created an invisible infrastructure of sabotage around you. I'm talking about deliberate, calculated moves designed to keep you small, keep you doubting yourself, keep you trapped in cycles of pain and confusion. Think about it. How many times did you share a dream or goal with family, only to be met with skepticism, mockery, or outright dismissal? How many times did they conveniently forget important events in your life while celebrating everyone else's? How many times were you made to feel like the black sheep, the problem, the one who was too sensitive or too much? These weren't accidents. These weren't personality clashes. This was spiritual warfare disguised as family dynamics. Now here's where it gets deep, and I need you to really hear this. What you experienced wasn't just one person being difficult. This was a group effort, a coordinated attack on your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. They had meetings about you. Not formal sit-down meetings necessarily, but conversations where they aligned their narratives about you. They created a consensus reality where you were the problem. They gaslit you collectively, making you question your own memories, your own experiences, your own truth. Let me break down the tactics they used, because once you see the pattern, you can never unsee it. Tactic number 1, the isolation protocol. They systematically isolated you from support systems. When you got close to someone who genuinely saw your light, suddenly that person would hear negative stories about you. Your family would plant seeds of doubt, distorting your character, exaggerating your flaws, and creating a narrative that positioned you as unstable or problematic. And here's the evil genius of it. They did it with concern in their voices. We're just worried about her. He's been acting strange lately. We think she might need help. All while they were the ones causing the psychological harm. Tactic number 2, the resource restriction. Chosen ones often have their resources deliberately limited by family. I'm talking about financial sabotage, educational opportunities being blocked, connections being withheld, information being hidden. They kept you dependent, kept you struggling, because an empowered chosen one is their worst nightmare. Did they help your siblings with college but told you to figure it out yourself? Did they invest in everyone else's business ideas but called yours unrealistic? Did they have connections that could have changed your life but never made those introductions? That wasn't coincidence. That was strategy. Tactic number 3, the reputation assassination. This one is particularly insidious. They controlled the narrative about who you were, not just within the family, but in extended circles. They made sure that before you even walked into a room, people had already formed negative opinions about you based on the stories they spread. You became the scapegoat, the identified patient, the family failure, all while they projected their own darkness onto you. Your light made them uncomfortable, so they worked overtime to convince everyone, including you, that you were actually darkness. Now you might be asking, why would family do this? What could possibly motivate people who claim to love you to orchestrate such calculated harm? The answer is both simple and complex. They were threatened by your authenticity. Chosen ones carry a frequency of truth. You can't fake it, you can't dim it for long, and you can't pretend to be something you're not without experiencing massive internal friction. This authenticity, this alignment with your higher self, exposes everyone around you who's living in pretense. Your family members, many of them were living in lies. Lies about who they were, lies about their marriages, lies about their happiness, lies about their success. They had constructed elaborate facades, and your very presence threatened to bring those facades crashing down. Think about it like this. When you're in a dark room and someone suddenly turns on a light, what's your first instinct? You squint, you cover your eyes, you might even get angry at the person who turned on the light. It's uncomfortable. The darkness had become comfortable, familiar, safe. That's what your light did to them. It illuminated all the shadows they'd been hiding in, and instead of doing their own inner work, instead of facing their own demons, they decided it was easier to attack the light. But there's more. Many family systems operate on toxic dynamics that have been passed down through generations. There are hierarchies of abuse, patterns of scapegoating, cycles of trauma that everyone just accepts as how our family is. When you, as a chosen one, start breaking those cycles, when you refuse to participate in the dysfunction, when you set boundaries and demand respect, you're not just challenging individual people. You're threatening to dismantle an entire system that's been in place for decades, maybe generations. You became the pattern breaker, the cycle ender, the one who said, "This stops with me," and that made you dangerous to the old order. Let me get even more specific about the methods they used, because I want you to see this clearly. The comparison weapon. They constantly compared you unfavorably to others. Your siblings were held up as examples of success, while your achievements were minimized or ignored. This wasn't motivational. It was designed to create internal shame and worthlessness. The privacy violation. They shared your private struggles, your vulnerabilities, your mistakes with others under the guise of seeking advice or being concerned. This violated your trust and created a network of people who viewed you through a lens of pity or judgment. The emotional manipulation. They used guilt, fear, and obligation to control your choices. After all we've done for you became a weapon to keep you compliant. Your natural compassion was exploited to keep you engaged in toxic dynamics. The gaslighting ensemble. When you called out bad behavior, they rewrote history. That never happened. You're remembering it wrong. You're too sensitive. And when one person said it, others would chime in, creating a chorus of denial that made you question your own reality. The silent treatment. They would collectively freeze you out as punishment for not conforming. The silent treatment is psychological abuse, and when an entire family does it simultaneously, it's traumatic warfare. The flying monkeys. They recruited others to do their dirty work. Extended family members, family friends, even your own friends were consciously or unconsciously deployed to deliver messages, apply pressure, or gather information about you. The financial entanglement. They created situations where you owed them money or were dependent on them financially, ensuring they always had leverage over your life choices. The health neglect. Some chosen ones experience their health concerns being ignored or minimized by family. Your pain wasn't taken seriously because acknowledging it would require them to acknowledge their role in causing it. But here's what they didn't count on. They didn't realize that pressure creates diamonds. Every attack, every betrayal, every moment of isolation was actually forging you into something stronger, something more powerful than they could imagine. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when everything clicks into place. When you stop making excuses for them. When you stop believing their version of who you are. When you finally see the pattern for what it is. That moment is your awakening. And once you wake up, you can never go back to sleep. You start noticing the inconsistencies in their stories. You start recognizing the manipulation tactics. You start trusting your own intuition again. And most importantly, you start choosing yourself. This is the moment they feared. Because an awakened chosen one is unstoppable. You're no longer controlled by their approval. You're no longer destroyed by their rejection. You're no longer imprisoned by their narrative. You've broken free. And let me tell you something powerful. The same energy they used trying to destroy you is now fuel for your transformation. Every lie they told about you clarified your truth. Every door they closed forced you to build your own. Every relationship they sabotaged made room for authentic connections. So what do you do with this information? How do you move forward now that the cat's out of the bag? First, you grieve. You allow yourself to feel the pain of this betrayal. You don't bypass it. You don't spiritually bypass it by saying everything happens for a reason. You feel it fully. You honor the child within you who deserved better. You acknowledge the years lost to confusion and self-doubt. But you don't stay in that grief. You move through it. Second, you reclaim your narrative. You stop allowing them to define who you are. You write your own story. You recognize your own worth independent of their validation or acknowledgement. Third, you establish firm boundaries. And this is non-negotiable. Some of you will need to go no contact. Some of you will need minimal contact with strict boundaries. Some of you will need to completely restructure the nature of these relationships. There's no shame in protecting your peace. There's no guilt required for choosing your mental health over toxic family dynamics. You don't owe anyone access to you just because you share DNA. Fourth, you build your chosen family. The universe sends you people who recognize your light and celebrate it. These are your true family, the souls who see you, support you, and stand with you. Invest in these relationships. Fifth, you do the inner work. This is crucial. You heal the wounds they inflicted, so those wounds don't become your identity. You work with therapists, coaches, spiritual guides. You journal, you meditate, you process, you transform the pain into purpose. Sixth, you step into your power. You pursue those dreams they said were impossible. You build that business. You write that book. You create that art. You become exactly who you were meant to be, not in spite of what they did, but having alchemized what they did into fuel for your ascension. Here's something I need you to understand on a soul level. This experience, as painful as it's been, was part of your chosen one initiation. You needed to experience the deepest betrayal so you could develop the deepest discernment. You needed to feel utterly alone so you could learn to trust your own inner guidance. You needed to be rejected by those who were supposed to love you so you could learn that your worth isn't determined by anyone else's opinion. This doesn't excuse what they did. This doesn't mean you should be grateful for abuse. But it does mean that you can extract the wisdom from the wound. Every chosen one has a mission that threatens the forces of darkness. Your family's attacks were actually confirmation that you're on the right path. Dark forces always attack the light. Always. If you weren't a threat to the old paradigm, they wouldn't have worked so hard to stop you. Think about every spiritual leader, every change maker, every revolutionary throughout history. Most of them faced opposition from those closest to them. Jesus' family thought he was crazy. Buddha left his palace and family. Many prophets were rejected by their own people. You're in good company, chosen one. The difference between you and those who remain in darkness is that you had the courage to face the truth. You had the strength to stand alone. You had the faith to keep going, even when everything around you said to give up. Let me speak directly to your spirit right now. You are not broken because of what they did to you. You are not damaged goods. You are not too much or too little or too anything. You are exactly who you were meant to be, and everything you experienced was preparation for the work you're here to do. The pain they caused? That's your empathy for others going through similar struggles. The isolation you felt? That taught you self-reliance and inner strength. The betrayal you experienced? That developed your discernment and wisdom. They tried to bury you, but they didn't know you were a seed. And now you're breaking through the soil, reaching toward the light, growing into the magnificent tree you were always meant to become. Your roots are deep because they had to dig deep to survive. Your trunk is strong because it had to withstand the storms. Your branches will spread wide because you know what it's like to need shelter. This is your time. This is your season. Everything that was taken from you is about to be returned, multiplied. Every door that was closed is about to be replaced with open highways. Every person who rejected you made room for a tribe that will celebrate you. But you have to make a choice. You have to decide that from this day forward, you refuse to be defined by their actions. You refuse to be limited by their limitations. You refuse to be dimmed by their darkness. Chosen ones, the cat is out of the bag. You now see clearly what was done to you and why. You understand the coordinated effort, the deliberate tactics, the spiritual warfare disguised as family dysfunction. But more importantly, you now understand your power. You survived what was meant to destroy you. You're still here, still breathing, still fighting, still shining. That alone is a testimony to the strength of your spirit. The family that targeted you, they're still stuck in their darkness. They're still playing the same games, still living in the same lies, still trapped in the same cycles. But you've broken free. You've transcended. You've evolved. And that's the ultimate victory. So I want you to do something right now. I want you to place your hand over your heart and say out loud, I am a chosen one. I survived what was meant to break me. I am reclaiming my power, my purpose, and my peace. I choose myself. I choose truth. I choose freedom. If this message resonated with you, drop a comment below sharing your experience. Your story matters. Your voice matters. And there are thousands of other chosen ones who need to hear that they're not alone. Subscribe to this channel because we're building a community of awakened souls who are done playing small, done being victims, done allowing others to define our worth. Hit that like button if this video opened your eyes to something you needed to see, and share this with another chosen one who needs to hear this message today. Remember, they tried to break you because they saw your potential. They tried to silence you because they feared your voice. They tried to dim your light because it exposed their darkness. But you're still here. You're still shining. You're still rising. And that, my beautiful chosen ones, is how you win. Until next time, keep your frequency high, your boundaries firm, and your vision clear. You've got this. We've got this. Together, we're unstoppable. Peace, power, and blessings.